on. Sam, we're live.
Hello and welcome into Out of the Parx with John Marks. I'm your co-host Sam Stafford alongside, of course, John Marks and the one, the only Maniac Malloy. Maniac, tell him what to do.
Like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. You got
I like it. Okay, guys, we're going to try to go through this quick because we do have a game coming up, of course. So, guys, we talked last week, and the Phillies were only 5 games behind the Braves in the division going into that 4-game series, and they did exactly what we wanted them to, won 3 of 4. And then we saw, of course, last night, and we'll get to that. But what did you guys have to take away from the Braves series?
Put the nail in the coffin. Braves, they're done, dead.
We talked about it last week. Maniac Malloy, and coming in and saying, like, don't settle for 2 wins in a series split so you don't lose ground. Like, get in there, beat the team, put them away. And that's essentially, you're right, that's essentially what they did. Very competitive series. It's not like that they blew them out in every game. You could have easily lost that extra inning game. Really, I mean, competitive series. It feels like the Phillies got their mojo back.
Yeah.
It feels like that they have confidence again. They're still getting started, good starting pitching, but the lineup's awake. And we saw that last night. So very happy with the Braves series. Very happy.
I was just going to ask, okay, so you said that it kind of woke them up. How do you guys feel after that? And then going into last night, they tied their season high of 18 hits last night. And it kind of does feel like they have that confidence back. And obviously it's going to be competitive when you have the Braves and it's your rival in the division or one of them. But I feel like it's very reassuring seeing them come out last night and doing it against the Toronto Blue Jays, who they could have played down to.
Yeah. I mean, Tyler Phillips, he don't got it. And, you know, that was a really nice win to build off, you know, putting the Braves in the rearview mirror. You know, now things are going to start falling into place here. You played some really, really good baseball this weekend. You did what you needed to do. You put the Braves away. Now it's time to focus on getting that bye and really just getting hot, you know, getting hot at the right time. Games like that last night, that's when I really start to feel like the mojo's back. Like John said, when you have those games where you come back from down multiple runs, and now you start to think, okay, you know, the late inning magic, you know, maybe now this is something that we can build off of here. Now, you know, in the beginning of the season, it felt like the game was never out of reach for the Phillies. And then for the past couple of weeks, you know, I wouldn't say months, it's been hard to produce runs. And you feel like when the Phillies got down in a game that they were pretty much dead in the water.
Yeah.
Now this kind of breathes a little bit of new life into the team. Things are starting to look like they're going the Phillies' way. Weaker schedule to end the month, to end the season, could be shaping up perfectly for that red October run.
Yeah, it's a 7-game homestand before they went to Toronto and won last night. 5-2 in the 7 games, but they trailed multiple times. They trailed by multiple runs in the 5th inning in 5 of those 7 games. So it shows you, and you just mentioned it, they're coming back. They're not getting down and saying, oh, we can't come back from this. Last night was, it was really the cherry on top of it. It feels like this team's back. Going down 6-1 after the first inning in a start against with Taijuan Walker or one of these other guys over the last few weeks, it felt like that the team knew they were done at that point. And once they gave up the early runs, the game was pretty much over. Last night, what did you see? You saw focused hitters. There was many at-bats, if not almost felt like every at-bat, where they're working the pitcher deep into the count. They're taking good at-bats. You had 18 hits. You had Kyle Schwarber with his night. But to lead off the 9th inning, for Sosa to get a hit, and then for Cody Clemens coming off the bench cold to have an excellent at-bat and to get a double right there, runners on second and third, Schwarber comes up with nobody on base. That home run doesn't matter. Schwarber last night coming up with 2 men on. That's why it's there. So Schwarber carried him last night with the home runs, but guys were getting hits. Guys were getting on. And it feels like that this team, as you just mentioned, Maniac Malloy, believes again that they can come back from any deficit. And that's the Phillies are at their best when they're winning like this. And that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah. And you know what? It all started really, if you look back at the National Series with Schwarber, with the Grand Slam. That's when the murmur started to started to spread. Like, oh, are the Phillies back? Are the Phillies back? Exclamation point on it last night with that unbelievable comeback win. I mean, they were dead in the water. They were absolutely toast. To steal one, that's the exclamation point on it. The Phillies are back. I'm saying it, the B word, they're back.
Well, I just want to point out that the last time that Kyle Schwarber did have a home run was that grand slam, and it was 17 games before last night. And we actually tweeted from the Parx account yesterday that he was going 17 games without a home run. Bryce Harper's still at 20 after last night. Well, now 21. But we tweeted it, and Kyle, we got somebody that listens to us because he definitely saw it and did not like that. 3 home runs last night. You guys already talked about him. Absolutely massive. And John, you're right that, obviously those guys have to get on in the 9th to give him the opportunity to hit a game-winning home run right there. But that at bat was beautiful as well, because I couldn't help but get a little nervous when I saw him. He went down 0-2. He was on everything, but he was fouling everything off. And I was like, man, like, is this pitcher just going to throw one like low and inside and just make him miss? Like, it's not hard. And when you're down or the pitcher's up 0-2. So that was my worry. I was like not the most confident in that situation, and he proved me wrong. And it was just one of those things. It's like, wow, that's what makes you feel confident in this team. And not only does it get the fans up, but obviously it builds the team up. So it's one of those exciting, fun times again. And you guys did mention we have an easier schedule coming up now, but
it wasn't too fun there to be a Phillies fan. It's time to be fun again.
Well, I do have a question. Oh, go ahead, John.
No, I just wanted to talk about that last home run. You meant like fouls it off. And then what happens? Pitcher makes a mistake. Chad Green made a mistake. He was trying to elevate a fastball, and Schwarber did not miss.
No.
And it's funny, if you listen to the Toronto TV call, the analyst, I don't know who it is, but the analyst is saying the worst possible outcome for you right now should be a walk. You can't throw this guy anything to hit. Because there's a base open, you have a runner on second and third. And man, he threw 97 miles an hour, and it just caught a little bit too much in the middle of the plate. And Schwarber sent it packing. And if you remember earlier in August against the Dodgers, he had a 3 home run game as well.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. It had just been a while since the last home run. He was on that homer drought. Man, hell of a performance by a great player. Kyle Schwarber has had a great year for the Phillies this year. Let's go. They're back.
Yes.
They're back, Maniac.
Yes.
Boy. They're back.
And can he carry them from now into the playoffs?
Well, so that is one thing. I want to get to that. But first, we got to finish the Tyler Phillips, because now you can absolutely not have him make another start. So does Taijuan come back? Do you have Colby Allard? What is your solution there? But
I mean, there's only how many starts is there left in the season?
So Allard, Allard's not going to be able to come back by the time they need a starter again. Although they do, So they because they sent him down, he can't come back, I think, till the 10th or the 11th.
Okay.
And to your point, Maniac Malloy, you're probably only going to have 3 or 4 more starts. And I mean, at this point, you can go if Phillips is going to get bludgeoned like that in the first inning, put Taijuan Walker back in and have him go 3 innings. Just don't bring him out for the 4th. God. Or have a reliever start it and then bring in Walker to work those middle innings. So it works like the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th.
Yeah,
that's what
they're not concerned about this 5th starter right now.
No, but it is interesting what they're going to do, because you guys mentioned it too with Phillips last night. The team really rallied around behind him and came back when they were down those 5 runs. And that's something we didn't see from Taijuan when he blew up his last start. The team kind of just stuck out.
Interesting that you say that. And like I've said it about Taijuan the last couple of times he's gone out. The body language of the players and having that guy out on the mound is just bad for business, right? And if you go back to some of Tyler Phillips's starts, they have come back and won a handful of games. One of them was a Kyle Schwarber, I believe, walk-off home run, and him and Phillips were talking in the dugout. It just having him out there, even though he's probably less of a talent than Taijuan overall, it just does something for the vibes of this team, having him out there. It's almost like they want to come back and make it so that Phillips doesn't get the loss there. You know, they want to make sure. I feel like, I mean, if you see Taijuan Walker on the mound, you almost think it's a scheduled loss, right? And I think that this 5th starter position is going to be almost like a scheduled loss for the rest of the season. But I think you're going to see the players rally around a guy like Phillips more than you're going to see them rally around a guy like Taiwan, who has terrible body language and is just a complete and utter disappointment. And they're probably sick of seeing him tote the rubber every 5 days. So, yeah, I mean, let Phillips finish out the year. Scheduled loss. I'm all right with it. Let's just get to October. Neither of those two guys are going to have any say and will not pick up that ball. Hopefully,
they will not be on the
playoffs.
roster. Yeah, they won't be on the playoffs.
Yeah, they won't be on the playoff roster, period. So, yeah.
I do agree with you that it doesn't really matter, but it is just interesting to me because I do know that Taiwan Walker is friends with a lot of the guys off the team. Like the clubhouse loves him off the field. So it is interesting to see that body language. Personally, just because it is a conversation, I think you leave Phillips out there because you kind of look long-term. Is it going to hurt him if it is a scheduled loss to give a young guy that has the intangibles?
That's the only thing you do worry about, I think. That's the only thing that you do worry about, him getting his head just absolutely beat in, and then him, start to think he's got to start to be thinking it now. Man, am I a starting pitcher in the major leagues? I've gotten my doors blown off and just gotten shelled really, really badly the last several times out. So, yeah, you don't want to ruin them. That's the only thing I would take into consideration about maybe bringing Taiwan back out there and let him get his head beat in, because I don't know what else, what you're going to get out of that. But yeah, the fifth starter is a non-issue. Let's just get it to the playoffs, baby.
Guys, we did talk about Cody Clemens coming up big last night. And one thing I cannot help but think. So Bryce Harper, we all saw it. We're all hearing about it. The concerns with his arm or his elbow, it looks like when he's swinging last night. What was it? The 9th after Schwarber hit that home run. And he swung so hard and it hurt. You could visibly see it. He pulled his arm off the bat, dropped the bat.
A lot of discomfort.
Yeah. And when he's wincing like that, obviously we talk about it. Harper doesn't know how to not give 100% at the plate. But are you guys concerned that this is something that's going to affect him in the long run in the playoffs?
Hell yeah, I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't been the same player. And there was a lot of talk. I think we've talked about it pretty much every week.
You did.
Is he injured?
And
then last week, I forget what confirmed that something was going on.
He talked to Todd Zielecki and he confirmed that he's been dealing with it.
Yeah.
And I thought I heard it was wrist and elbow. So it's two issues he's got going on right now.
Yep. And that's a big problem for sure.
Yeah, the wrist since May, the elbow since August. That's what he's been battling. It's confirmed. I don't know why that comes out now. It seems like something that they've been keeping under wraps, and then all of a sudden he gets asked about it. He answers the question, confirms that he's hurt. So my question now is, why is he playing? Why is he still in the lineup today? If he's not 100%. And these games, I mean, they do matter, right? We're still, like I said, now the focus is now changed to getting that bye, getting the 1 or the 2 seed for certain. And I think the Phillies are a team that can really benefit from having that week off and making sure everybody's healthy and ready to go. But why not throw Bryce Harper on the IL right now? Give him a 10-day layoff here. Get him right, before the playoffs. And even give him 10 days prior to making that last push, if it comes down to it, for the number 1 and the 2 seed. Why is he playing? Why is he playing, Marksy?
I have the answer. Because he wants to.
He wants to. That's what it is.
He's determining whether he's going. I mean, obviously, if they gave him an MRI and there was torn whatever, then I think he'd be stupid to not go on the injured list. And I'll guarantee you, if he didn't do anything for 2 weeks, he would be better off for it. And maybe it's something that they're gonna do. Have there been cortisone shots? What type of treatment is he getting? If he's having problem with his elbow and his wrist, I guarantee you he's been going through some treatment and there might have been cortisone shots that they've done, and it's not helping. So yeah, hell yeah, I think he should take a couple weeks off. Like you said, at this point, you're 7 games up. If you freaking lose this division, like, give me a break. Then you don't even belong in the playoffs if you were to blow it. 24 games and up 7 games. It's more important to get him playoff ready. Now, he may say he needs the at-bats and he doesn't want to start the playoffs with, not being in a groove. Well, he's not in a groove right now.
Right.
So I don't know. Clearly you saw the wince. I think everybody realizes that he's going through something right now. Without rest, I don't know how it gets better.
Well, and that's one thing. If it's the 10-day IL, he would have time to come back and play a week or so, right? Before the playoffs to get those at bats back.
Do it now.
Yes.
Here's my thing that I would love to know the answer to, and we're not going to know it. I think that, yes, he wants to, right? Like, he wants to be out there. His stats this season are not Bryce Harper stats,
Second
right?
half.
Like, it's
No.
yeah, but overall, like, Bryce Harper's end game is truly to be the best baseball player ever, right? Like, he wants to be up there listed in the top 5 greatest baseball players that ever played. He can't do that if he doesn't have the stats to back it up, right? So there's, where it's like, okay, like, how hurt are you? Are you suffering through this? Can you play through it? Or are you just really out there because you want to pad the stats?
I would have a major problem with that just because, one, the thing that his stats are missing that a lot of people put in the argument for why he's not one of the greatest right now would be because he doesn't have a World Series. So I feel like he would have to be smart in the fact that, like, dude, give up a September or whatever to make your team, help your team win those, because that's really all he's missing. To this point, he has those individual stats. Yes, he can have a down year. That won't hurt him, but he needs those team stats of winning. So to me, that would be very worrisome if that's his thought process, because it's like, dude, your team needs you. This team will not, at least I don't think this is a hot take, but this team will not win without a healthy Bryce Harper.
True.
No, I mean, without a productive Bryce Harper, right? Yeah. Remember beginning of last year when he came back to play earlier and like broke a record, right, and how fast he came back from Tommy John? He had no power. He was hitting for average, but you're talking about like just like almost pathetic. It's like, what the hell? It's the elbow. As soon as the elbow started feeling better, second half of the season, dude's blasting home runs. He was hitting for power earlier this season. He has problems with the elbow or the wrist or whatever. What's happened? You're not seeing the same power numbers. So, I mean, it's not like he's hitting for an high average and you can have a trade-off of, well, he's still productive. He's just not hitting home runs. No, man, he's been very iffy for a while now. So if you look at the schedule coming up, after today, 4 in Miami, then you have 2 or 3 against the Rays, and then you have the Mets. So that's the next 3 series after this. The series against the Brewers would start September 16th. So even if he took 4 off against the Marlins, the Rays series, and the Mets series, that would get him back for at the Brewers, at the Mets, against the Cubs. And then you have the Nationals to end the season. And it's like he could maybe play in one of those games or take some at-bats in those games. So it still gives you enough time to get back into a groove. I just don't think it's very smart right now. If it's affecting as much as it appears to be, and you saw it last night, it's tough to recover when you're not giving yourself time off. So,
yeah. And even like we already said, to put him in the very next day, like that was the 9th inning. Today's a day game, basically. It's a 3:00 game. It just makes zero sense against a team, the Blue Jays, that you don't need Bryce Harper to win. Yes, he had some hits last night, but you don't need him to win this game. Cody Clements is more than capable. Obviously, you can't fill a healthy Bryce Harper's shoes, but he could hold him over right now with Cody Clements in that spot.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. And I think, like you said earlier, when he rushed back last year, I think a little bit of that was, I want to play. I want to get out there. I don't want to miss time, and he missed when he went out, like when he first had this surgery, so he feels like he's got to be out there. I don't know. I mean, John, the biggest thing is, he does need time to get going as well. So that's why I think there's a fear of shutting it down, because he's a dude that does take a couple of weeks sometimes to really get in the flow of things. And I feel like now you're just kind of up against it from a time constraint. And I think this is all a moot point, because he ain't going to sit out. He's just not going to do it.
Yeah, but you know what? Unless he struggles again today and maybe he takes another swing and he's wincing again. And that's when you go to him. That's when Schwarber goes to him and says, hey man, listen, like, come on, man. You got even a day off or a couple of days off. Boom right now hasn't played in a couple games, right? Like,
right.
Because he's injured. I'm sure if he wanted to, he could try to gut it out and play. And like this is sometimes with these players and these athletes, they just like, unless they literally have a torn muscle or something like that, they're going to play because they don't know any better. And Bryce has always felt like that guy. So,
and it wouldn't be the worst thing ever to have somebody else come up, bring somebody up, get another guy going, get another back going. You know, last night you saw them trust in each other. You know, they passed the baton. They did the right things, and they just believed that the next guy up was going to do their job. Bryce, we got you. Go take a rest. We got guys that are going to step up here and hold the water from now until you get back.
Who would be next in AAA? Derek Hall? Or is that over with? They haven't pulled up Hall all season.
Yeah, I don't think they bring him.
I guess you would just go with Cody. You know, Cody would play. You know, and he's not a bad alternative. You know, in a pinch.
No, he's been good. You could bring up Dahl again if you wanted to. He's been hitting well in AAA. Scott Kingery has been putting up great numbers. You could but the Phillies haven't really shown that they want to bring him back up. Like, you have 24 games left. You have a 7-game lead. You have a team that has a ton of firepower and a ton of high-paid players. You can figure it out without friggin' Bryce Harper for 10 days or for whatever, right? Like, but he's got to give me. That's the move. That's the move. And we're not in there. We're not doctors. We haven't examined him. We don't really know what's going on. But I think it's pretty clear to everybody he's got an issue, and he should take a little bit of time off to get it resolved.
Hopefully they figure it out. But okay, guys, moving on. I will say, just because Cy Young watch, yes, Chris Sale, unless something happens, he's going to win the Cy Young. Yada yada.
Shut out last night.
So whatever. You won't get any money. Don't bet Chris Sale. Okay. Moving on now to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's finally NFL football regular season, guys, and we'll see the Eagles just 2 days from today.
Exciting.
So we've been talking week after week. I want to know your game predictions. I have some fun props that we're going to talk about too, but just for game one, what are some game predictions? Is it a win or is it a loss? The Eagles are giving 2.5 points to the Packers. So they are
currently giving 2.5 points to the Packers. Yep. Eagles lay the 2.5. I think they come out like gangbusters. I think they throw the ball all over the field. They have some matchups in the secondary that I think the Eagles can exploit. The biggest thing is, can you give Hurts enough time? If he's going to have enough time, he's going to pick them apart. I can see Jahan Dotson coming out of nowhere and having a big game, the new signing. A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley, all going to have big games. And I think the Eagles take care of business, cover the 2.5, lay the points, take the birds. That's the Maniac prediction for week one.
Yeah, I had thought that the Eagles as 3-point favorites was a very confident Eagles line. Now it's been bet down, I believe, down to 2.5. I think you could see it maybe even Eagles -2 by kickoff. So what is that saying? What are the sharps doing out there? Why is that line moving? The one thing I worry about, and this is maybe a little bit more with the Eagles, but really across the NFL, that first week of the season is typically pretty sloppy because these guys aren't playing a lot, if at all, in the exhibition in the preseason games. So that first week or two is increasingly sloppy. Turnovers, penalties, etc. They're in Brazil. Like, I don't know. Like, you would think that with the firepower on this team, that this would be a high-scoring game. I don't know, man. Maybe they come out a little bit flat. Maybe there's a lot of turnovers or whatever. But with all that being said, I like the under, and I do like the Eagles. The Packers are a good team. Packers are going to be in the playoffs when it's all said and done, I believe, at the end of the year. But so are the Eagles. And I think it's more important for Jalen Hurts and this Eagles team and just showing the urgency. Look at how last season ended for the Packers. Yeah, they lost the game they probably could have won, or but they still, if you're a Packer fan, if you're the Packers organization, you're saying to yourself, like, all right, like, we're headed in the right direction. That was a hell of a season last year. If you're the Eagles, you've been thinking about how that season ended the entire year, the entire offseason. And Jalen Hurts has a lot to prove. And so does the rest of his team. And with a new offensive coordinator, I am bullish on the Eagles this season, and I think they start off and they do enough to win the game. So I'll take the Eagles -2.5. I like the
I
Eagles.
love that optimism. I'm a little hesitant, guys, because I was talking to you guys pre-show, and I just don't know. You're right 100%, John. You saying how we've had all offseason, they've had all offseason to just let that anger build and they're going to come out strong. I hope that happens, and there's very well it could happen. But my hesitation comes from the fact that we haven't seen anything, because obviously we haven't seen any preseason action of all of these guys. We have 2 new coordinators who I do believe in, but we haven't seen these guys under their control, and these guys might not know it yet all the way. And then also we've seen the Packers. Jordan Love did look good in the preseason snaps that he got. There were very few, but he looked good. So it is just that question mark. And then you flew there and all that stuff. So I don't know. I think I'm going to take the Eagles to win, but not with the point spread. I think it could be very close. You have 2 really good offenses going into this game. So I think it is going to be close in that. And I don't know, what is the over under? That's the one thing I didn't look at, because I think it's going to be somewhat high scoring. I could very well see
John says low scoring game. Sam saying a high scoring.
I could see a 28-27.
Well, the over under on Bet Parx currently for the game on Friday night, 49.
So I would beat that. Yeah, so I'm going 28-27 would be my score prediction, which I'm going to ask you guys now. Think about it. But yeah, so 27-28, that would be 55. So yeah, I'm way over. So
yep, you're over.
I might be a little off.
I think just to kind of piggyback off of what John said here too, like what the Eagles went through last year, where the Packers are now. The Eagles can change the perspective from a national standpoint on this team in one game. They can stave off all the Nick Sirianni drama and all the drama from last year and kind of put that in the rear view in week 1 and leave that drama in Brazil. Because if they come out and they whack the Packers, man, everything is going to be right in Eagle land, and everybody's going to be kind of starting to quickly forget about what happened last season, and the hype train will start to take off, especially if you come out and you really smack the Packers.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that's what's going to happen. So my prediction, 34-17 Eagles.
I would love that.
Landslide.
I would love that.
34-17. Heard it here first.
I wouldn't be surprised or shocked. The Eagles have a high-powered offense. I mean, I don't think we haven't really even talked about this. They have Saquon Barkley as their running back now.
I have it pulled up right here.
I know Zach Berman, PHLY. He dove deep in the Saquon. He talked to I think it was his high school coach, but this is a guy that like Miles Sanders was fine. He was a productive Eagles running back. They have an elite top talent. Now he's got to stay healthy and he's got to do it. But if you have an offensive coordinator that looks at all these pieces and says, "Oh man, I know what to do with this stuff," you're talking about, if not the top offense in the league, one of the top 3 offenses in the league. So scoring points better not be an issue this year. It's a matter of how good can the defense be. Do they have enough? Do these young kids, the young Georgia kids, because this was the plan by Howie Roseman. Let's just draft everyone from Georgia. Everything will be fine. All right, these guys better be able to play now at the next level. So, but I'm excited for the offense. They should be really, really good this year. And let's hope Friday night they start it off.
Well, you speaking of defense, speaking of Georgia, Devin White is not making the trip to Brazil, which means that Nakobe Dean is going to get an opportunity here. He's going to wear the green dot. He's going to call the plays on the defensive side. I didn't see this one coming at all. Nakobe Dean,
supposedly, I think, I don't remember what reporter put it out, but they did, when that news came out, said that supposedly Devin White was not going to be the starter and Nakobe Dean was going to be the starter. So
the media didn't know that though up until now. They didn't know that he was going to be the starter, and then quietly Nakobe Dean has won that job.
But that shouldn't affect the team too much. That's what I'm saying. So like if they if that was the decision, you assume that Nakobe Dean was getting those snaps and that the team's been practicing it that way. So I don't think it's going to affect too much in that standpoint. But it is very
well. It
interesting
could
to see.
because what has he done? You know, what with Nakobe Dean? There's a lot of question marks there. There's a lot of question marks at the linebacker position in general. You signed Devin White, you know, thinking that he was going to be a big contributor on the defense, and now he's not even going to be there, not even making the trip to Brazil. It's a big opportunity for guys like Bond, guys like Nakobe Dean, and even Jeremiah Trotter. Those guys are going to have to play.
Someone's got to step up.
Yep. They got to step up. You know, they're getting their opportunity. Got to make the most of it.
So I saw this from Albert Breer of the MMQB, and a lot of times when information gets put out there by a particular information robot or insider in the NFL, you kind of are like, well, that's what the team's telling them. Albert Breer is not one of these information robot guys. So he tweets out, he says, there were murmurs that the Eagles could trade Devin White before the cutdown. Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean were both really good in camp. So fair or not, White missing the opener won't help his case for a big role in the defense. So, like, listen, I want Nakobe Dean to be a really good player. Nothing would make me happier to see him succeed. He's an Eagles draft pick, seems like a nice enough guy. I've met him. He did player shows. He seems like he's great. I haven't seen any reason to believe this guy can play. Can't stay healthy. And when he does play, all right, like, what am I missing here? He doesn't stand out. You don't know his jersey number. You don't see him making a lot of plays. So, and by the way, Devin White was signed, and you heard a lot of people afterwards say, well, he really hasn't been good. He wasn't playing at the end of the year for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, he was benched.
Yeah.
He was benched because of his production. So he can at least make splash plays, but a lot of times he's bad in coverage or he's missing assignments, whatever it may be. So listen, this is a huge opportunity for Bond and Dean to step up. You mentioned Jeremiah Trotter Jr. for these guys to step up, and Devin White could not be on the team in a couple of weeks. Who knows?
Yeah. So
we'll see.
Okay, guys, we're going to try to run through some of these props for the season. So, John, you did mention Saquon Barkley. So that's one thing a lot of people are wondering. With this offense, you have Jalen Hurts who can run, he can pass. Then you have those weapons that he can throw to. Where is Saquon Barkley going to work out in this? So over under total rushing yards at 1,025 and a half. Wow. Over or under, guys.
Yeah.
Over 1,000-yard season for Barkley?
That's the over under. Yep.
Yeah, over under 1,000 yards.
Yep.
Marksy, what are you going to say?
Well, I'm going to say over. I just don't know in this offense, even with the dynamic weapons that you have, and Kellen Moore will run the football. And if he stays healthy, that's the biggest thing with Saquon Barkley. I think if he plays even, I'll say 16 games or 15 games, he's going to almost by default be able to rush for 100 yards. So I'm going to say over. I think for sure that's an over.
Yeah, that might be a rocking chair bet. You might hit that one come, week 12, 13, 14. You might be cashing that one early.
Well, I like that, guys, because it's at plus 110 on the Parx app. So it is going to make you some money.
And here's where this is my thought process with taking that bet. And yes, I definitely would take the over on that. Last year, you kind of noticed Hurts kind of make an effort to not scramble as much. There weren't as many called runs. There was even people like, is he hurt? What's going on?
Right.
You still had the tush push, but there wasn't as many designed runs out of Hurts as you saw in 2022. I think that they are going to hand the ball off to Barkley and give him those opportunities over risk of injury and running Hurts, even though it's a really nice weapon to have. I think that you kind of saw the change last year in the dynamic of what they want Hurts to be like, which opens up, the opportunity for Barkley to be the focal point in the running game, obviously. I think that last year, Hurts, we kept me and Elliot talked about it each and every week, and his over under rushing totals just seemed to be, easily attainable, but he just didn't run. And I think that's also a reason why you went out and you paid Saquon Barkley all this money. And another hot take for you right now, I think we're not going to see that favorite play that we've had from the last couple seasons, the tush push, as much as we have with the loss of Kelsey and now with the acquisition of Saquon Barkley. there's really no need for it. You can't afford to have Cam Jurgens getting injured. And one of the teams that always ran this play and was one of the first teams to run this play was the Kansas City Chiefs with Mahomes. And that play is now out of their playbook ever since Mahomes dislocated his kneecap on one of their tush pushes, several years ago that was. So I think all signs point towards Saquon Barkley getting the ball, toting the rock, take the over 1,025 yards, 1,000-yard season for Saquon Barkley. Lock it in on Parx.
Yeah, I agree with you on the over there too. I think Saquon's going to have a huge year. I think a lot of people's argument against it is that he's injury prone. But when you look at what he had with the Giants, he was all they had. He had all the pressure. You knew it was going to him. He never got a chance to rest. So here he's got that ability to be able to just play a part. And I think that's where he's going to fit the most. So I think he's going to have his best season yet.
Best season yet. Wow,
yeah,
for
Saquon.
I love it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm liking it. To your point as well with Jalen Hurts, he did have that knee injury last year. And that's one of the things coming into camp that everybody was saying is his speed looks like it's back. So that's refreshing as well. And I think that's going to help Saquon, the fact that he's fast again and that he's able to run, because you don't know. You got to kind of cover all assets here. And there's going to be somebody that's open, which to your point, you've said it before, might be a Goddard sign. So we'll see this season. No, I'm saying like before in past episodes that Goddard has to have a good season instead. And I think that's going to prove true.
We need him
to come up
we
big.
Need him
okay, guys. So Eagles win total is set at 10.5. Do you go over, under? We did our predictions earlier this year, so I'm way over. I think I was at 12.
Marks?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good number, but 11 would be what my official prediction is, 11-6. So the one thing with that 17th game that sucks now is that it's year to year, it's less likely that you need it. Like it's already decided whether or not so you could be sitting at 10-5 and not need that last game, and you end up losing because the Kenny Pickett's out there sticking up the place and they lose the game. But I like 11-6. I think this is going to be a tight division. Washington's going to be better this year than a lot of people probably think. I think they're a wild card contender. The Cowboys are going to be good this year. So I go 11-6. They win the division.
I got 11-6 too, John. I'm right there with you. But these first 4 games of the season are really going to dictate how achievable that over under is, and you got to start fast in Brazil. If you win that one and you rattle off 3 in a row and you're sitting at 4-0, look out.
Yeah, that's something that we haven't talked about too, is the fact that week 2 when are the Falcons? Week 2?
Week 2.
So they have that. And once again, it's a Monday night football game and it's Kirk Cousins. So that's going to be interesting. We seem to knock on.
Yeah, the only thing about that game that makes me nervous, not to get too ahead of ourselves, but yeah, we have Kirk Cousins' number in primetime. It's like, you're kind of like, okay, like he's got to win one of these games eventually, right?
Yeah, it is something. We'll talk more about it. But okay, guys, talking about Jalen Hurts and rushing, Pat. Over under 575 yards rushing this year.
Well, I'll just answer that one quick. Under. I'm taking the under on that. Like I said, I think they're making an effort to alleviate that, or kind of take that part of the game out of the game for Hurts. And I think why even risk it unless it's, a no-brainer play action rollout? I don't think you're going to see as many designed runs. I think you saw him kind of get away from running the ball as much last year. And I think 500 yards, although it's not too crazy to think about, but with the sacks and negative yardage there, I'm definitely taking the under on Hurts's running yards this season. I'm taking the under.
So last year, 605 rushing yards, 760, 784 the years before that. I almost think by default, he goes over the number. And I agree with everything that Maniac Malloy is saying. It would be wise for the Eagles to use him a little bit less in the rushing game. So when you do use him, he's able to really take advantage of it. The last thing you want, and Jalen isn't reckless. If you remember Mike Vick, when he would run, he'd be reckless. He wouldn't go out of bounds. He wouldn't slide. He said he didn't know how to slide. And he would take big hits. Jalen's not doing that. But anytime you put the quarterback and he's out there running, there's opportunities to hit the quarterback. And whether or not his fault, you can't avoid contact sometimes. So, and And I actually think it makes a lot of sense from a quarterback standpoint. And I'm talking about from Jalen's perspective here, where you start off, you're not known for your passing when you come out of college. And each year you're in the NFL, you're developing as a passer. Then you get the big contract. So you get the big contract. Now you want to be known as a quarterback, just not a guy out there running around that can also play quarterback. So I think in the natural evolution of being a quarterback in the NFL, you saw this with Donovan. Problem was Donovan McNabb wasn't a good enough pure passer to where when he lost the ability to run and to get away from pressure, he wasn't the same player. So I think you are going to see the continued evolution of Jalen Hurts, the passer, and less of the rusher. But it's still almost an easy number to just by mistake, he may run for 500 yards.
I'm going under, I think, with it. Okay, guys, we're going to run through these. So with those answers, over under 9.5 rushing touchdowns then.
Again, I'm going to go under. I don't think that you're going to see the tush push. I really don't think you're going to see the tush push this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a part of the playbook as much this year, which is going to, alleviate, which is going to get rid of all those, what do they call them? The scavenger touchdowns that he gets from the 1 yard line. And plus, you got Barkley now. Hand the ball off to him. Let him get in the end zone. Let him feel good about himself.
Agreed. John?
Last 3 years, he has 38 rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts.
38.
15 last year. Now, a lot of them were on the tush push, and I think we all agree that they're going to get away from doing that as much. It was actually pathetic last year how much they used it in short yardage and touchdown situations, goal line situations. I think it's going to be close. I would take the over again, just by almost default. He's going to get 10 touchdowns.
I also want to note last year they did refuse to absolutely use DeAndre Swift or any of the running backs when they did good. So
it's unbelievable.
That's one thing I'm excited to see again is the run game. Okay, total passing yards over under 3,600 yards. Over. How could you not?
Man, too many weapons not to throw. If he stays healthy, he's been over that the last 2 seasons. If he stays healthy, I'll take over.
Agreed. And with that 21.5 passing touchdowns, I go over.
Absolutely. You got to go over. You got
21 and a half. So you'd have to, between the two starting wide receivers in Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley, that should be over right there, right?
Literally. Well, so with that, let's go to AJ Brown, and he's got total receiving touchdowns set at over under 7.5.
Just 7.5 touchdowns for AJ Brown.
Yeah. Receiving touchdowns.
Give me the over. I'm taking the over. Mark is trying to tell me under on this.
That's screaming.
I was thinking that's my concern about it. Our producer, Mark Feldman, said too many weapons. And that's where I'm kind of iffy on those because how are they going to disperse those? AJ, I could see, and Devontae, I could see him getting those deep, far down the field passes and then not getting the touchdown necessarily. So
he had 7 last year.
7 touchdowns.
I was going to say 7.
11 the year before.
Super Bowl year. I think you're going to see this team look like the 2022 Eagles a lot more than you're going to see them look like the 2023 Eagles, which would,
that's an AJ over then. If you believe this is a Super Bowl type team, he's going to have double digits.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Receiving yards for him is 1,275 over under.
Man,
last year 1456, the year before that 1496. So that's another one, barring injury, missing a couple games here and there, should be an easy over.
Yeah, but I think Feldman's on to something here. The over under numbers are telling you he's not going to have the same kind of year that he had last year. A 1,200 and some odd yard over under. He's had nearly 1,500 yards each of the last 2 years.
You got to think too. You're going to want to get Barkley in the game. You want to get him going. You want to get him lathered up and give him his touches. And those are going to take away touches from AJ Brown. But let's be honest here. He's hit almost 1,500 yards in the past 2 seasons. The only difference is you had Swift last year versus Barkley. You still wanted to get Swift touches in the game. You still, you got Devontae Smith. I know that he's going to take away some of his, his targets, but he's still the top 3 wide receiver in the NFL?
Yes.
I think you still got to get him the ball a lot. I think that people might be looking into the Saquon Barkley thing as maybe that's going to take away opportunities, take away targets. But man, it's AJ Brown, dude. And they definitely have a connection. New coordinator, got to go over.
Looking over at Devontae Smith, just because we're varying that 7.5. His line is set at 6.5 total touchdowns. What do you guys think about that? I'm going to go 6. It's tough. So I would go under because I'm predicting that he'll have 6.
6 TDs.
Yep.
He's always good for like a game where he has 2 touchdowns in one game.
Yeah.
You know, like, so, you know, you have 2 of them. You have two touchdown games. You already have
3
4
more over.
You know, like
I'll go over.
Yeah, I think over for a lot of these because I think the offense is going to be a lot better than it was.
And
a lot better.
I agree. And this receiving yards actually is kind of shocking. He's set at 1,000 flat. I think he beats that 100%.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing outside of injury that AJ and Devontae aren't over 1,000 yards, both of them. There's enough yardage to go around, even with Saquon Barkley. So you figure he's gonna get like 400 or 500 yards receiving yards easy, right? If he's healthy. So right, where does that come from? Because it's hard to take it from Goddard because he's not getting as many targets as he probably needs. So, I mean, I guess that the logic behind it is if Saquon's sucking up 400 or 500 yards in the receiving game, it's coming from somewhere. And it's coming from AJ and it's coming from Devontae. I still go over.
Same.
Yeah, I go over. For anybody watching this and that's interested, you could also go, it's kind of hard, but you could go on the Parx app and also go over under on receptions, which I think is tricky because like we said, there's so many options. That one's hard to me. Okay. And we're going to wrap this up with NFC East over under win total. So Cowboys, we're all over at 10.5 for the Eagles. Cowboys are set at 9.5. I think they at least win 10 games.
Yeah, I agree.
Marx is big on the Cowboys. Marx is high on the Cowboys. He's saying, don't forget about them.
I'm a big
9.5. Let's take the over.
So we're all over.
I'm with that. One team on here that I definitely would look at out of the 3 teams in the NFC. You got the Cowboys, Commanders, and the Giants. Commanders are sitting there at 6.5. I like their over. It's at -121. The under is at +100. I think the Commanders win some games this year and are a lot better. 6.5.
Way
that's
over.
Tough. I think they go over that though.
I agree over. And Giants are also set at 6.5. What about that one?
Well, their under is -150. Over is at +120. I wouldn't take the bet because the value is, on the under is -150. But yeah, they're going under. They're definitely going under.
Yeah, I don't even know what to expect from them this year besides nothing.
They have a lame duck quarterback and they know it. And when everybody knows that they're just trying to play out the string and then he'll be out of here, that's Daniel Jones this year. So it is not going to be a good year for the Giants. And then they'll try to get their quarterback in the offseason in the draft.
Insane. He's making $40 million a year, but I know, must be nice. Before we wrap this up, any concerns from you guys for the trip to Brazil for the players' safety? Just because we did hear them come out say how you have to be careful, don't leave the hotels, blah, blah, blah.
I think this is totally, completely way overblown. You're already seeing it this week in the media, the whole wearing green thing and the rival soccer team that they have there. That's all bogus. It's all a bunch of baloney. I don't think you have anything to worry about over there. This is a business trip 100%. And I think that's just kind of what we've heard this week in the media is that the Eagles wanted to make sure everybody knows that what you're doing here is we're going down there to play a football game and come home. And that's that. I wouldn't be worried about any player safety at all. I think that's being completely overblown. Completely.
Yeah. I mean, Elliott has not been kidnapped yet. He has been in Brazil for a few days now. He's been all right. It's wise by the Eagles in the NFL because they may target players. That's like, hey, we're just going out to dinner. Well, that's a bad idea. Look what happened in San Francisco, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
You don't need to go to Brazil to get robbed if you have a Rolex on. So it's just smart for the teams and for the NFL to be like, listen, you're not leaving the hotel. You can deal with 2 days of hotel food. Eagles are bringing in a bunch of stuff so they can have stuff to do at the hotel. They'll be fine. I'm worried about Eagles fans in Brazil that maybe have a little bit too much to drink and then start wandering the streets. And God knows,
Oh, yeah.
God knows, that's the last place I'd be this weekend or the next 2 days as an Eagle fan in Brazil.
I
So
don't know if
be
it's
careful.
the new mom in me, but I'm nervous for him. I already saw some of the wives like post like cheers, we're leaving, and I did notice they all have like their rubber rings on, so they're being
Oh,
smart that way. To
really?
your point, yeah. So
Smart.
you have to be cognizant of that, and
Cognizant.
yeah. So inside joke, but yes, I am nervous for it. Like you said,
Fear
Sam, like
mongering. You're giving into
you're
the
right.
fear mongering, Sam. Don't give in.
They always get me. I told you guys I'm terrified of mosquitoes now with all these illnesses too.
Oh my
Man, the news is
God.
a scary place
No,
right now.
Don't watch.
but Maniac Malloy, you absolutely hit the nail on the head with the people actually believe that they're not allowed to wear green
Yeah.
because of the
It
stuff.
was said that it was banned. It was never banned.
I had this lunatic DM me on Twitter. Said, "What a bunch of wimps of Philly media. What if Jerry Jones told the Eagles they can't wear green at AT&T Stadium? Why are we letting Brazil disrespect the Eagles?" And then you look at his profile. I'm like, oh, okay. Now it all makes sense.
Yeah, and like let's
I mean,
just think about this for a second. All right. Like, it's not that the people in Brazil are like total idiots and they're going to assault or like beat up somebody because they think that they're wearing a soccer jersey. I mean, it's very easy to tell that, oh, wow, he's got a green jersey on. Is that what's the name of the team? It's I forget what it's called. It's like Palacios or something.
But then the Eagles not wearing green has spread the theory because they're going with the all black, which by the way, I believe they're doing because it's going to look amazing. They're on national TV. This is the first Friday night game in 5 some odd decades. And people are going to be like, wow, that's really sharp. The Eagles look really good in those. I think that's why they're doing it.
Another reason why is because the team that plays there, the Corinthians or whatever it is, that's the color that they wear. The home team that plays in that soccer stadium.
So that's why the Packers are
wearing
wearing green.
It's not quite like 100% confirmed as to why, but it was suggested that, black and white would be a good color to wear because it is the same colors of the home soccer team that plays in that stadium.
I do wish the numbers on the jersey were green or something though, because I think that would look even sharper if it was like that reflection green. Another funny thing about the green is like the Brazilian flag is green mostly. So it is one of those funny theories where it's like, you can't wear green in Brazil.
Well, the color of the rival team
is green.
It's not only green, but it is like a dark green that looks like the Eagles' midnight color green. But again, like you have to be like a complete and total idiot to be like mad about somebody wearing an Eagles jersey that's the color green. It's not even the exact same color, and it says Philadelphia Eagles on it. So how the hell are you going to get like pissed off about that? I just think it's all just blown out of proportion, fear mongering, fake news, clickbait, baloney. That's all it is.
I'm not worried about the color green. I'm still worried for the players' safety if they decide to go off. Because I think it was McKee was saying how he did a mission trip there, and he's like, I'm going to show the guys everything. And I'm like, please don't.
Yeah,
Just
no, they're
stay.
not. Slayer already said they were told they're not leaving the hotel.
We got Big Dom. We're fine.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. Okay, guys, it's time to go out of the Parx with John Marks. They are at Miami this weekend. John, who you taking to go out?
I'm sure as hell not taking Bryce Harper, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then I feel like that Schwarber has eaten up his allotment of home runs with the 3 home run game.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, ride it. Schwarber. Ride it.
Schwarber.
Well, all right, Schwarber, let's do it.
Schwarber's it. Schwarber is the move. Schwarber's the move.
Is that your take too?
I usually go the other team. There is just God. I mean, I don't even know who the Miami Marlins are trotting out these days. You know what? I won't give you an out of the Parx, but a guy that I will like to follow for them is Xavier Edwards, the shortstop. Let's maybe take a look at him for like over total bases in the game this weekend. If you want to add him to your same game parlays with your Schwarber home run, maybe sprinkle in a little Xavier Edwards, 2 total bases.
I'm going to go Christian Pache. We saw Whit Merrifield.
Wow.
We saw Whit
Taking the
Merrifield
page out
come
of
out
the
with a
Maniac
vengeance
book.
against us. Let's go Christian Pache. See if he does anything against us. But
He's got to get in the lineup, I think. Is he starting?
I don't know. I just looked at their lineup from yesterday, and he was in there yesterday. So he might get in one of the games of the 4. He went 1 for 3.
Well, I mean, the real bet, if you're going to
walk.
take somebody from the Marlins, is Jake Brugger. He absolutely owns the Phillies. He's killed us all year with home runs. So
and Pat likes fun names.
If you want to throw a little bit on
does.
there, maybe a little Jake Brugger.
But by the way, 3 home. If Schwarber does if he was to hit 3 home runs again today, it's plus $18,000 right now on the BetParx app.
Take it.
Plus 30, plus 3,300 for 2. So,
well, that is one thing that we didn't mention. He's like the first, and since 1900s when they started tracking it, he's the first player to ever hit 3 home runs twice
in one season. And within 90 days of each other, too.
I wonder what the stat is with Bryce Harper, because he also had a 3 home run game this season. So I wonder, as a team, they've had 3 home run games this season. That's a lot. Okay, tell us about Marx and Maniac money line boost.
Marx and the Maniac, we're back again. Johnny Marks, who you got for us tonight? Leg 1 of the parlay.
And it's live right now, right on the home screen of the BetParx app. I'm looking at it. So I have the Yankees. I don't know if you saw last night how they lost in fantastic fashion, blowing a lead, the bullpen again. I think they respond today against the Rangers. So I have the Yankees on my leg of the pen.
All right, Marksy's got the first leg. I'm going to take the rival of the Yankees. The Boston Red Sox lost last night to the Mets. Tanner Houck on the mound. He's probably their best arm, gives them the best shot to win. Let's take the Red Sox and the Yankees. We're going to parlay those together. It was plus 270, but thanks to me and Johnny Marks, you can find this one on the BetParx app for plus 350 now. So take advantage of that one. Wow. The Marks and the Maniac money line boost.
I like that. It's almost like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or whatever.
Tonight they are. Tonight they are. If you're riding with Marks and the Maniac, they are.
I like it. Okay, guys. Well, that wraps it up for this episode. And next week, we're going to have a good one because, of course, we have Phillies and we're going to be talking about Eagles. It's going to be officially underway. So I can't wait to talk to you guys then. Thanks for tuning in to episode number 23. We'll catch you next week.
Like and subscribe. What are you doing, Mark? You have to hit end?